Hello and welcome to Virgin, Utah, site of the 2023 Red Bull Rampage event. I'm here with very special guest, Tyler McCaul, who's sadly not competing this year, but we're going to blast around in this Can-Am and check out what goes into the digging of the lines and speak to some of the athletes. So let's go check it out.
It's a little scary with someone like Cam driving.
In some years you're just really having to put the effort in, so.
Well, we are at Rampage 2023. I am on the sidelines. I had an operation on my ankle a few weeks ago and pretty bummed to not be riding, but still good to be out here, watch everybody, and watch it as an innocent bystander this year.
How many years have you competed now?
I have done 10 Rampages. Last year was my 10th, so this would have been my 11th, and hopefully we'll get a number 11 next year. This venue in particular, there has been a Rampage held here 2008, 10, 12, 13, and 22. So there have been 5 Rampages here already. Every year that goes by, the bench cuts get a little wider and the infrastructure gets there. It gets a little easier to use somebody's old bench cut or your old bench cut. As opposed to a first year venue, that's when it's like real rugged and raw and more true big mountain, and that's kind of just survival and trying to find a way down the hill. But every year we come back to a repeat venue, things get wider, things get like more trickable. So I'm expecting to see a little more like slope style influence this year for sure.
And do you think that'll play best to the strengths of the slope style kind of riders then?
Yeah, for sure. I think we're gonna see a lot of single crown forks this year. I like heckling them. No hate, it's just fun. I just call them half forkers. But that's what the event is evolving into, and especially reusing this venue, I think we're gonna see lots of tail ups and bar spins, which is just like kind of the progression of where it's at now.
Sure. And do you think riders then from a big mountain background would struggle, or are they going to be able to find like a big mountain line in amongst all the polished stuff that'll still score them highly?
That's what I'm looking forward to seeing, because this venue in particular, it's not the steepest, it's not the most elevation, but if you get creative, you can always find more stuff. So I'm most looking forward to seeing what Brendog and G do here.
Yeah.
I love their approach to Rampage. It's always more just finding a badass, gnarly, fast way down the hill. So this year is going to be interesting to see how the trick stuff, manicured lines, how it tees up to whatever they have planned. I don't even know what they have planned yet, but I'm sure it's something cool. But yeah, it's kind of like Rampage is it could go either way this year. I'm not sure who's going to take it, or if it's going to be slope style or big mountain, and we'll know by the 13th.
And well, 10 Rampages, obviously. You've done this whole dig day process quite a few times before.
Yeah.
Like, it's dig day number 1. What kind of is normally going through your head at this point?
So the events evolved a lot over the years. First one I ever did was in 2010 here, and there was no water infrastructure. So you had to carry, there was a place to fill up at the very bottom, the athlete lounge. Nobody had side-by-sides, and so we'd fill up these pesticide sprayers at the bottom and carry them all the way to the top. You know the pesticide sprayers I'm talking about too?
Yeah.
It was the worst, because you know how if you turn them like 90 degrees, it goes thunk, and it like so then you can pump it.
Handle pulls out, yeah.
Yeah, but you'd be like walking around the edge of a cliff, and it would like bump something, and then and you have one in each hand, and then it goes thunk, and like the thing comes out and then drops you down, and you're trying not to fall off a cliff. So you're super limited on what you could build, just due to the limitations of like what water you had, how you could get all the tools up there. But now it's come a long ways. They've got it fully irrigated from the top, gravity feed. So they have like hoses that you can just tap into and run a hose on the side of the mountain, which is crazy. And now we're allowed to drive side-by-sides up to the mid-road, which a lot of people have now, and they are insanely beneficial, even to just get down to lunch and back up, save energy, get all the tools up. Because day one used to just be getting everything up the hill. But now it's what, 9 o'clock, everybody's up the hill working. Like all the tools are up there and they're going. And that's because we can now drive up to this mid-road here.
So it's dig day number 1 and we're up here at the top of the mountain, and straight away you can see looking down, there's already so many lines that are here left over from previous years. And that makes it really interesting for the athletes that were here previous years who've come back and returned. They're left with the decision to make whether they stick with their line from the year past or they build something totally new. And you'll see that most of them are sticking with their lines but making tweaks here and there. But then for the riders who have just come to this venue for the first time, the likes of Brendan Fairclough, he's had to make his own line down this hill, but already working with so many other lines that have been developed, and obviously those lines are going to be the lines that are the most obvious or the easiest to see. So he's got kind of his work cut out in finding something new and fresh. But I think we'll check it out later. He's got something that is very fresh indeed and looks really exciting. How many times have you done Rampage now?
Shit, I think this might be my 7th or 8th.
And how do you keep on coming to a venue that's been used multiple years and still finding a way to stick your own stamp on it?
Honestly, this has been the hardest year for that. Like this venue, this is my very first Rampage in 2012. And coming back now, like how overwhelmingly populated all the line is, this amount of people coming back is so much. So it was the hardest one, and it's really one that I was thinking whether do I actually want to come to this one or not.
Right.
But it's an opportunity you can't refuse.
You're here.
And
You've got a very tasty looking canyon gap there.
And we've come up with, I didn't want a canyon gap again, but it's turned out that we've got a canyon gap again. So this one's by far the biggest one we've ever even attempted. So of course it is. Yeah, we're gonna have to share a bit of a line with someone up there, which we've never done before. We've always had a complete top to bottom unique line, so that's hard to swallow, but it's it's good, part of the deal. Like Todd said, we don't own the mountain, no one owns the mountain, so yeah, it's been good.
Cool. Well, good luck for it. I'm definitely excited to see you run.
Yeah, wicked.
I think everyone is.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, guys.
I think one of the things that's really obvious when you're up close and personal is not only that it's super exposed when you're digging, you're constantly close to an edge somewhere and it's pretty hard to get around, but also the terrain here is so varying. You've got piles of dust with rock underneath that certainly for getting through it and digging, it's definitely doesn't look like the easiest sort of job to do. So definitely kudos to the diggers for making it happen out here.
Yeah, the more you dig, the more it sort of looks possible, which is good. Otherwise it'd be quite a miserable couple of weeks.
I think everybody kind of has a different approach to finding a line. Everybody has different strengths and different weaknesses, and that's what the cool thing is you might look at your friend's line and say, I would never ride that, you're out of your mind. But then they look at the line that you're completely comfortable with and say, I would never ride that, you're out of your mind. So that's why Rampage is cool, because you can pick exactly what you want to ride and work towards your strengths. Whereas like a normal slopestyle contest, you show up, the course is there, and everybody's riding the same thing. And if there's a jump that you're not very comfortable on or don't like that much, you got to ride it anyways. But here you can create whatever your mind desires.
For the riders who are returning to ride on the same line, it's pretty cool to see that they're not afraid to take what was once a perfectly good, pretty awesome looking berm and tailor it to their preferences to make the line run better for this year. So you've got Tom behind me pushing a berm back 15 feet or so on the hill just so his line runs that little bit smoother. And yeah, they're certainly putting in the work there to get that done.
Yeah, I'm making progress day one, so it's kind of a scramble and everyone's getting into it, getting warmed up. But yeah, we're making some good progress.
Big changes for this year, or is it more refinement than anything?
Yeah, we're changing a little bit at the top, the entrance into the line, and then the main part of the line will stay the same. And then the bottom will be different too. So a couple changes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you find you're constantly learning every year, like how to approach the digging differently, or?
Yeah, it's a never-ending learning process. Like you're trying to balance out conserving energy, but also getting your line done, getting as much riding as you can with, you know, the amount of digging that there is to do. It's pretty gnarly.
Yeah. You have your Can-Am here. What are you using it for? What are you finding that it's making easier for you at the event?
Yeah, using the Can-Am for just getting to and from the venue is such a game changer. It makes the ride in fun, and obviously you're not beating your truck up or whatever, and you still have enough room to carry all the bags and the tools in it. And I've got the bike rack on the back, so it's like the ultimate desert vehicle. Yeah, or trail building mountain bike vehicle, really.
My first time coming here, I was pretty unprepared and had never ridden this terrain before, and just kind of showed up, didn't come early to ride it, and then walking around was terrifying, didn't know what to do. And then my good friend Alex Pro, who was competing that year as well, told me to quit being a wuss and to just follow him. So he led me off of a drop over there, and I had no idea what we were riding off till we were off of it, and that just kind of like broke me in, and then it was game on. Because you do kind of have to desensitize yourself by hitting something that you're scared of, and then it all starts to make a little more sense.
So, Cam, how many rampages have you done at this point?
It's this is my 15th rampage, and I'd still consider that competing because we go through all the digging and all the building and all the prep. But 2 of those I got hurt the night before finals, so technically only dropped in for finals. This would be the 13th, but yeah. But I've done 15. Yeah. Kyle right here has done all 17.
Crazy.
Yeah, he's 14 years old at the first one in 01. Pretty wild.
Can't imagine what that's like.
Yeah.
So, 13 or 15, regardless, it's safe to say you've got a lot of experience.
Yeah.
How's the digging process changed through that time for you?
Well, the biggest thing is the advent of water and, well, running water, because they have a system where they pump from a spring to the top and then gravity feed it. And right now we're going to actually drag 300 feet of hose over to tap in and water this landing. Originally, we didn't even know that this dirt would even do well with water. Everyone just rode it raw, landed in soft stuff, ride a little wider tires because you're planning on landing in like pretty much sandy stuff. And then 04, it rained before finals, and everyone realized, holy crap, this stuff is really good with water. And then that progressed to the next one. There was a 4-year gap. Everyone came back in 08 and hauling big jugs of water up the hill. And you could only do so much though, and it's only so much manpower. And after that, when they added the water, it turned, it changed everything. You see a whole bike park coming down, which is good in some ways, but bad in other ways. It turns it into more of a slopestyle contest, but at the same time, it makes it safer. You can't argue with that. So I think they're actually working on some things to maybe make it less water, but still, so we can still have access, but not an abundance of thousands of gallons per day,
Right. And when you're choosing your line in a site that's already been used multiple times, obviously maybe you come from more of a big mountain background where you're looking for a slightly more raw and rugged line. How do you find, are you still able to get that kind of raw feel? And then how does that play into the scoring and with the judges as well, do you think?
I really, that's always the judge sports are subjective by nature, right? And especially this one, we're not even riding the same line, so I have always, and Kyle, like we always team up, and we are gravitated toward and appreciate the big mountain aspect of it. And that's such a small portion of the mountain, and it's over so quick, but I value that so much. And sometimes it doesn't really get rewarded as it should. It's the way it is. But we still try to stick to our roots, but then also appeasing the judges. And on this one, it's really cool because it's the peak, like it's the pinnacle. Like you're starting at the top of a mountain and it's super steep. And then it goes into more drop land right here, and then in the jumps at the bottom. And so this is only one portion of that kind of score, I guess, because there's only steeps up top. We have one of the best steep, gnarliest exposure. The line that we did last year was previously deemed impossible, but then with water and like get better at building and riding, and we're able to make it work. So really stoked on that. And then we come into here. Unfortunately, this is where Kyle broke his back last year when we were a little pressed for time. He was laying right here, almost thought he was dead. And then off the drop that he won on in 2013, 10 years ago, and I got third in best trick off the Oakley Icon Center right here. So we're gonna try to do it without the wood, and we just need way more speed. That's why we have this series of jumps. And I think it's still the biggest step down ever flipped, and try to do it whatever 7 feet further without the wood this year. And that was the goal last year. Didn't get to do it, so same goal.
Oh yeah. The tool of choice in the desert. What gets the work done the best?
Everybody has their favorite tool. I'd say McLeod is probably the most frequently used. Rogue hose are awesome. That's a company that makes them out of old agriculture discs. They're super sharp and they have a good curve to them. So those pull a lot of dirt. I have a pick that's just like a normal Pulaski, pointy end on one side for chipping rocks, and then the other side is a big scoop, looks like a duckbill. And that's kind of my favorite for just roughing stuff in. But then you come in with the rakes and then the flatheads. There's a lot of different tools you go through throughout a day or throughout the process.
When you were when did you find out you were going to come here and dig?
Probably like a month before, maybe, something like that. You just kind of said, going out to Rampage, you're keen for it. I was like, yeah, it's kind of like a dream to be out here. So it's sick to see it all and yeah, and be involved in it.
Sweet. And how's it been comparing to digging back at W Bike Park?
It's a bit different, definitely. Bit drier, and it's a big day. It's a hard day, but it's sick. That's good.
Before you came out here versus when you arrived, what sort of stuck out to you as being different to maybe than you expected?
Kind of on Scout Day, we walked up to the top, and any video you watch of it just doesn't do any justice at all.
Yeah.
It's kind of so much gnarlier than you think, and the ridge is so narrow. Everything, it's just so much gnarlier than you ever thought it would be, really.
Well, back at Rampage, and the digging is as hard as ever, and it's always, you remember it to be difficult, but until you're out here in the baking sun and the dust, taking on something a bit too ambitious, you just forget how hard it is.
Obviously behind us we've got something pretty tasty. Big drop.
It's going to be wild to hit. It's just a big drop. It's kind of old school with a big, just a straight free fall rather than a big gap. I'd prefer it if there was more of a gap perhaps, but I think it should work, fingers crossed, but it's huge.
So there are 4 days straight of digging, and then a mandatory rest day, which we actually instated a few years back because we would just dig ourselves into the grave and then had to ride this stuff, and it was kind of a dangerous situation. So 4 days full on, sunrise to sunset, and then 1 day off, and then 4 days where you can dig and or ride. So no bikes are allowed on these first 4 days, but it's pretty much like a 10-day boot camp, and you're just completely tuckered out and exhausted by finals day, and then you got to ride.
All right, Carson, so we're here on your line with a frankly ridiculous landing behind us. How's the digging going for you so far?
It's going good. Yeah, Tom Van Steenbergen and I teamed up on our whole line last year, so this part of it we're just revamping. It was already here and is actually in pretty good shape from just over the winter, so it's been going really smooth actually. This landing took us like half the time last year to build this one big landing for our big drop, and we've been working on it one morning, and Ben is already up there slapping it, so it's going to be done today, and it's a pretty big milestone because we can focus on making the rest of our line cooler than last year.
Awesome. And coming back to a venue you've already been at, and obviously having that foundation, how much of a difference is that making?
Oh, it's huge. You can just do kind of what you want to do. Like last year, we weren't the only teams to run out of time, but we completely ran out of time, so the bottom of our line was super weak. So yeah, always second year back at the same venue, a lot more stuff happens. Yeah.
How do you find the dig crew plays into your event? Like, are they kind of pivotal in helping you put together the line?
Oh yeah, yeah. Without them, we wouldn't be doing this. Like, yeah, we definitely, I dig as much as I can. All the riders do, but there's a certain point where you kind of have to take a step back to let your body be able to, do this thing on a bike. So we lean a lot on them, and they're all machines. So yeah, thanks to all the builders here, because this would not happen.
Well then, that has been the initial few dig days here at the Red Bull Rampage 2023 event. It's been absolutely insane standing here on the sidelines and seeing what goes into creating these lines. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed checking it out with us. If you have, then give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think of this event and what's really stood out to you back home, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more content on this event. And also do stay tuned for a Can-Am specific video where we'll be checking out the riders' rigs and how they've got them set up. And also a huge thanks to Can-Am for getting us here at the event and for supplying the riders with some awesome rigs to make their lives a little bit easier. Thank you for watching, guys. Catch you out on the trails.